When you run a business, one of the scariest feelings is not knowing if you're doing what is right for your company. Research actually indicates that a whopping 50% of executives feel their company is making poor strategy decisions. Let's see if we can kind of lower that stat here, because today we are going to get the edge over your competition with Stephen Garchow. Stephen, thank you so much for coming here.
Thanks for having me.
And you have this amazing book that's going to help a lot of people. Why did you decide to put all this knowledge you have into a book for everyone?
Well, when I looked at business, I found that most people are having a difficult time making strategic decisions. And that can be for a number of reasons. For instance, a lot of times people let opinion outweigh facts. Now, we're all fact-based decision makers, but we often let opinion override it. And other times, company politics or company power structures sway the folks away from making these fact-based decisions. Now, I'm not the only person who believes that. If you look at a recent survey by McKinsey, they surveyed over 2,400 executives, and the executives themselves indicated that only 7% are doing a good job. That's amazing, 7% when you think about it.
Right.
So I wrote the book basically to help companies improve their strategic decision making, because I believe that any company can significantly improve their competency in that area by implementing a defined strategic decision process.
So what is it that's in the book that's going to help them in that path?
Well, what stratification does is it presents a way for people to improve their strategic decision making. Now, this is important because strategy is what really defines the course of a firm in the future. And companies that make good strategic decisions have a better long-term financial performance. So what the book does is it talks about the good things you can do in forming strategy and the bad things. And then really what it does is it focuses on teaching people a decision process that will allow them to improve their effectiveness and efficiency. Now, this process is called the Lean Strategic Decision Model, or LSDM for short.
Okay, and I know we also have an acronym that makes it very easy for people to kind of stick with what you're talking about, right?
Right. I use the acronym SCRIPT.
Okay.
And that's really just an acronym to help people understand how they go about doing LSDM. But really, it's not rocket science.
Okay.
But I believe companies want things that are simple. And essentially, the S stands for solutions. Because what you need to do is you need to identify the solutions to your strategic problems. And I call these solutions strategic alternatives in the book. What we do is we help the companies identify what those strategic alternatives or solutions are.
Okay.
Now, the C stands for criteria. And what that is there are important factors that every company needs to consider in order to move forward and resolve their issue. And I call those criteria. Now, once again, we help people identify what those criteria would be.
Okay.
The R stands for ranking. And what we're trying to do is give the executive an opportunity to differentiate between these different strategic alternatives. And so what we do is we develop a ranking scale that allows them to do that. And again, we help them.
Okay.
Then what happens is the I stands for individual, because one of the really important things to do is to make sure that each executive looks at the criteria, looks at the rubric, the scale, and they make their own decision. Because most executives are going to defend their position, and that's what we want. We want people to have an opinion so that when they get in with their fellow executives, they can explain what they're thinking. And that's where the P comes in, partner. What we do is we bring the entire leadership team together, and what they do is they look at all the individual responses and in turn work as a group to develop a consensus to select the best solution. And then the T really is for transfer, because once you've made that decision, what you need to do is you need to communicate that to the rest of the organization so that everyone knows how to go ahead and move forward.
And I love that you, like you said, along the way, each one of these letters that you gave us, what they mean, you said, we can help you identify each one of these.
Right.
And so why, I know we're talking about LSDM, why really does that help companies, and where does that come in when we're talking about competition?
Sure. Well, basically what happens is, what we know right now is that just about every company has a problem making strategic decisions, okay? And we also know from research that a defined decision process will help them get better outcomes. So I guess the point that I'd like to make is that your listeners, the audience, is basically confronting a bunch of competitors who probably stink at strategic decision making. Okay? Now, they can identify they've got a problem, but the chance that they're going to be able to efficiently and effectively move through that, given all the corporate dynamics, is pretty slim. Now, your audience probably is suffering from the same things right now. But by implementing a defined strategic decision process, I believe that they can develop the competency to make much better decisions than they are today. And if you can make better strategy decisions, basically that's going to give you a sustainable competitive advantage over your competitors, and you're going to succeed.
Well, that's what we want. That's the outcome we're all looking for. And I'm going to tell everybody how they can actually get a hold of the book so we can start that process and, like you said, get out top notch above the competition. So, Stephen, thank you so much for coming in today and explaining all of this. It's very interesting.
Thanks very much, Tina.
Oh, absolutely. To learn more and take a free strategic decision assessment survey, log on to stevegarchow.com.